at your video, Scott, because of Han back there. Yeah.
I keep forgetting he's even back there. So when I see the video, I'm not even paying attention to it.
It like surprises me every time. It's a nice kind of like, oh.
Huh, watch out. Oh.
Yeah.
It's Han. He'd never shoot Scott.
One of these days, someone's going to tell me to take it down. But
you're going to get a Disney cease and desist.
Yeah, a cease and desist from them.
Is it? Right. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
I'll let you get
Ready
to business.
Yeah. Here we go.
Money burning a hole in your pocket? Then your money's probably on fire. Seek medical attention. If you want to support your favorite podcast, however, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support.
This is the Daily Tech News for January 20th, 2016. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, as he does most Wednesdays, Mr. Scott Johnson of the Frog Pants Network. How are you, Scott Johnson?
I am so good. I don't even know how to describe it. I'm Snapchatting again because you pushed me over the edge. I went all friend hype this morning, and I downloaded that stupid thing, and now that I know it's not just for weirdos, I'm going to get...
This is 2 weeks in a row I've peer pressured you into something. I feel bad. I need to stop that.
The last one cost me $600.
At least this one was free.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. And for those who don't know what we're talking about, he talked me into getting an Oculus Rift, which I think I was going to do anyway. But thank you for pushing me over the edge.
Yeah, no problem. Can't wait to see what I convince you to buy next week. Meanwhile, also joining us today, very excited to have Luria Petrucci of Geeks Life with us, especially on the cusp of the launch of Geeks University. How's it going, Luria?
Great! I'm so excited. This is a huge week for me. We just launched the new Geeks Life website. We're launching geeksuniversity.com the Friday. I don't know what day it is.
I bet you don't.
Yeah, so it's a huge week, and I'm super excited. Glad to be here with you.
Oh yeah, it's been too long. Luria and I worked together this past summer on a series called Connected Tech, which if you search around, you might be able to find, and there might be some more episodes of that coming soon that were banked back then. Who knows? Maybe we'll shoot some more in the future. That'd be fun.
I would love to. You know, it was such a pleasure to work with you. For those of you watching,
likewise,
DTNS, you already love Tom, but getting to work with Tom is like a whole other experience. I just thoroughly enjoyed that. You are such a talented guy and so hardworking, and I mean, all of it was just a huge pleasure, and I learned a lot from you.
Well, likewise, Luria is a hard worker too, and I was very appreciative to have someone who was willing to like just get in and dig in. And I don't want to turn this into too much of a mutual.
Big hug.
All of that is reciprocated, absolutely. You too, Scott Johnson. Not leaving you out either.
I really appreciate it. You know, Tom, you're the garlic of podcasters. You really stick with you, and I really appreciate it.
And
of course,
I'm an
Scott
antibiotic.
has a gun held to his head, so he has to say nice stuff.
All right. We're going to talk to Luria about setting up Geeks University and online learning in general, and what she's learned from that and the state of online learning and MOOCs and all of that sort of thing. But let's start with the headlines. Apple released a free update to GarageBand for iOS on Wednesday, a new feature called Live Loops, which is kind of a drum machine style experience with pre-made loops in styles that you can choose from, like EDM, dubstep, other things that kids can explain to you if you don't know what they mean. Plus the ability to create your own loops with built-in keyboards. There's an FX panel if you want to add some wobble and reverb. There's even some you can do by moving the device itself. A little gimmicky, but fun. There's also a feature called Drummer, which lets you add a session drummer who can play in a particular style, but it's not just a pre-programmed beat. It plays along with your music. Leia, for instance, is one of the drummers. She embraces lean, minimal tech house beats, if you're looking for that. Audio Units is also in there. That supports third-party plugins. If you've got your own things that you make your beats and your loops in, you can plug them in. Scott, I'm pretending like I know what any of this means.
Well, I'm a fan of EDM. I don't so much like dubstep, but I do like the fact that this seems like an update that came a little bit out of nowhere and didn't need to be made, yet they felt like they should. It's hard to say what it actually supports. I think if you loop around, it probably is in the best interest of them trying to work the social angle of Apple Music more, and this gives people an excuse to do things and push that through that channel. So maybe that's where the benefit is for Apple. But I like when they start throwing stuff like this in here. The nice, fun, creative tool. No other reason really to push it out except, hey, here's more stuff to mess with, and you know, if you're a fan of that stuff, then I say good on them.
Yeah,
I
and
just want to know if there's auto-tune yet.
It built into this thing, probably not. And let's silently hope there never is. But
Come on, have some fun.
there is, look, there's a place for auto-tune, that's for sure. You know, this maybe heralds a moment where they'll start just putting new plugins and updates to this app on the regular, and if that's the case, I mean, maybe they see it as more of an important platform than just this freebie thing you get when you purchase a machine or a device. So
yeah, well, it's interesting because we were burned by Final Cut a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
People who are really into video editing felt like they just kind of got abandoned as Apple shift focus to a very basic user mentality. At least that was the opinion of a lot of people. So
It's the opinion of me for sure.
yeah, and so if you're a professional musician, you know, this kind of stuff seems like it's focused towards people, maybe not pros exactly, but those plugins are saying like, hey, if you're moving your way up, here's a way to help you do even more fancy things, more current musical things with GarageBand, which is great. But I don't know if I'd be comfortable banking my entire musicality on it, just in case they stop adding it.
According to some of the details, it does. It includes compatibility and the ability to plug into Pro Tools as well. So you have some pathing.
Logic, yeah.
Logic rather. I'm sorry, but it has some pathing to sort of graduated levels of expertise in audio. So you know, if they're giving young talented people a quick entry way in, and then they can kind of expand from there, I don't see who it hurts. So seems good. Apple also released a new app Wednesday called Music Memos. This is aimed at you musicians. It's a little bit different focus. Features include uncompressed audio recording, instrument tuning, and the ability to add in drums or bass line. That's after analyzing the rhythm of the track. It also integrates with GarageBand and Logic once again. Recorded songs can be tagged by sound, location, or rating and shared over Apple Music's Connect. So yet another new nice thing for no reason.
Well, this is one that's meant to replace voice recorder. If you're someone who like sits there and plays your ukulele, as my wife now does, and want to record yourself, you used to record the voice memo, and then what do you do with that? Like, it's a nice little demo for you to listen back, but you can't do much with it. Now they're adding some stuff to say, well, you can throw some drum beats behind it. You can export it out to Logic. You could export it out to GarageBand, and it actually makes it more useful for somebody who just wants to record their own playback.
I didn't know Eileen was playing the
That's awesome.
Let's get a little bumper thing going on the show or something. She needs to get it out there, man.
Yeah, I'm sure I could convince her of that once she learns the Lava Song.
All right.
Lava Song, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's one of the ones she plays.
But all of these apps, you know, they're being used by professional magicians. Where did that come from? Musicians and stuff. You know, in professional settings, DJs, all of this stuff. And I think it's really cool that they're offering that kind of access as well. I mean, that's definitely where the music industry is heading in a certain part of it.
Yeah, and giving musicians more tools. They must be seeing up, is my guess. They're seeing that a lot of musicians are starting to buy the hardware, and so they want to provide more free software that can allow them to make better use and then tell other musicians and sell some more devices. That's the business model. Fortune reports that IBM is in advanced talks to acquire Ustream, according to multiple sources familiar with the deal. Ustream was the only video service offered in IBM's cloud marketplace, which launched back in April 2014, and Ustream provides the video streaming capability for IBM's open cloud development platform. So it would seem that Ustream, if this ends up happening, would be taking an enterprise turn and kind of leaving the Twitch competitive realm, which it barely exists in as it is. Yeah,
this is an interesting move because I'm not totally sure all of the benefits that IBM necessarily gets out of this. Because the Ustream's positioning early on was like, all right, well, here's a place for you to broadcast wherever you're thinking and do it live. We're basically YouTube for live streams. And along came Twitch. Previous to that, their only real, competition was I even forgot the name of it. What was the thing before Twitch?
Stickam?
No, the guy's name.
Justin TV.
Justin TV.
So all you have is Justin TV as your competition when you're Ustream. Along comes Twitch, and they just completely destroy the whole live gaming streaming market. And Ustream scrambled to try to take a piece of that, even going as far as having integrated functionality on the PlayStation 4 for their streaming service. You can choose between Twitch and Ustream. By and large, huge majority of people use Twitch rather than Ustream. So I get why they would want to diversify or go somewhere else or find a stronger foothold in the streaming market. I don't understand what IBM gets out of it.
Well, I mean, how about their own platform? Ustream has been offering whitelisted, services like that to companies like IBM since almost their inception. And so if IBM has the ability to control all that and do what they want with it and maybe offer it outside of their company as well, they can access a lot more income from that as well.
You think so they would license it, the idea being that you've got a bunch of companies who need to have integrated live streaming capability on their sites and don't want to be using third-party tools that make it look like they're just relying on YouTube. IBM would now be, this would be a business where they would get paid for people to license their architecture.
If they kept it going kind of like how Ustream has already begun the process. They've been doing that for years, and I've always seen them going down the more corporate route anyway, because that's where they excelled. And that's where, obviously, they can get a lot more money. From a user standpoint, it's I don't know how much you've used it, but it's awkward in certain ways, I mean, like, all the live streaming services out there are not perfect for any general user like us. But for a company, they don't want to have to deal with those issues, the ads that are released, the chat limits or anything like that. They want to have their own system so they can control the message, control everything about it. So, I mean, that's not out of the realm of something that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think that is exactly it. IBM wants to acquire the platform and the technology, and that works for Ustream because they haven't been able to get that consumer market. So it all works out. Well,
good luck to that big party. ZDNet's Mary Jo Foley reports Microsoft will conduct a worldwide recall of power cords, this being for the Surface Pro, being the first one, Surface Pro 2, the Surface Pro 3, all of those. These need to be ones sold before March 15th of 2015, and this is all due to concerns of some overheating. I heard about this yesterday and don't have a Surface Pro anymore, so I guess I'm not worried about it. Microsoft is expected to replace these cords free of charge in the U.S., which is good. A site with more information should be available shortly. Thanks to Flynn Spatula for submitting this on the subreddit. And yeah, you don't want hot power cords. Usually when there's a recall like this, though, it's usually more serious than, hey, they just get warm, because almost every power cord I own gets warm. So there must be something more to it. I don't know if anybody in the chat room or anyone else has had this experience with that cord, but they must be running pretty hot for a full recall.
Yeah, I think it must be. There's no talk of fire, but it must be a fire hazard, right? If it's overheating and it's wound up too tight. Mm-hmm. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella announced a plan to donate $1 billion of cloud services to 70,000 nonprofits over the next 3 years to advance the public good and take your mind off those burning power cords. Bloomberg reports a bulk of the funding will cover free and discounted cloud services like Azure and Office 365, with the rest going to expanding free Azure for universities and expanding internet connectivity in the developing world. It's, I think, the third time we've seen the biz dev department at Microsoft working with the philanthropy department. Philanthropy.
Yeah, and Luria, this is good news for some of the stuff you're focusing on now. It seems like, when technology becomes available for the education sector in a way this broadly, that seems like a good thing for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I missed some of what you just said. Sorry, because I was coughing. But yeah, I mean, anything that's good for the education market is absolutely a positive thing. And these are things that people can make money off of learning, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and $1 billion of cloud services doesn't sound like a lot, and I know we're entering that area, Tom, where things are starting to be near zero for the cost of storage because of how that market works. But still, if you can apply a quantitative sort of amount of money to how much that is they're donating, $1 billion is a lot of money. That's a huge chunk of change. Maybe not for Microsoft, but still. I like
even if the $1 billion is is an equivalent to what they would sell it for, which they wouldn't sell it in this case. It's still a lot of capacity.
Sure.
It's also 70,000 nonprofits, not all of them schools, that could take advantage of it. So I'm not sure how much each one of them is necessarily going to get. I guess we can divide $1 billion by 75,000 and find out the average. But still, it's a good thing for sure.
It's nice to see. I guess what I'm saying is it's nice to see Microsoft doing philanthropic things outside of the news that Bill Gates is doing some new thing with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's always a good thing. Yeah.
The company he founded is doing some cool stuff. I mean, generally this fits with Satya Nadella's awesome new way of doing things and just general swing back to liking Microsoft again for a lot of us. And
I mean, let's not overlaud them. Companies do charity all the time because it's a good tax benefit and good PR.
Hey, it gets people like us talking about it.
Yeah, this is a particularly big one and one that's starting to become a habit for Microsoft.
Sure, and that's all I'm saying is the perception is being improved when they do things like this. I know all of us have wanted to spend more than $1,100 on a Apple Watch Hermes.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just in my pocket here. I'm just going to lose it anyway. I may as well spend it without having to bother to go to a luxury boutique in New York, LA, San Francisco, or Miami. But good news, everybody, starting Friday, January 22nd, you can buy them on the Hermes.com site or Apple.com. So you can go to either one. You'll be able to get the entire collection, including the single tour for $1,100, the double tour for $1,250, and the cuff for $1,500. Last we saw of these was on stage when they got out.
I feel like I should go for the cuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why cheap out? And I
love it. You might as well spend it.
I mean, I could go to the Hermes store, which is just past the Century City Mall where I went to see The Force Awakens. But that's, I'd have to go find parking, and then I'd have to go into the store and talk to a person. If I want to spend $1,500 on a luxury watch, I want to do it in my pajamas.
Well, I'm just gonna put this out there. Just saying, my birthday is on the 25th.
25th of February?
No, January.
Oh, just in 5 days.
So, the Hermes just saying.
Nothing says happy birthday like a $1,500 Apple Watch.
Oh my God, I wouldn't even wear that because I would be afraid of it.
Same here. Brave software released a version 0.7 of its new web browser today. Yes, another web browser, folks. Add it to Vivaldi in your install folder. Brave promises quicker loading of websites by blocking programmatic ads and replacing them with Brave's own ad inventory. You were cheering for a moment there, weren't you? The idea would be to then share revenue with web publishers. Brave claims to load 40% faster on the desktop and 4 times as fast on mobile by blocking all third-party tracking. So they block JavaScript, they block cookies, they block all that stuff. The open source browser is available for Mac, Windows, iOS, and Android, and is run by JavaScript creator and Mozilla co-founder Brendan Eich.
That's a big deal, I think. I mean, look, I'm not saying that it's the great way to go or that his business model is any better than anyone else's or that it serves us better than the traditional way or whatever, but this guy is a big deal. He created JavaScript. That is no small thing. He co-founded Mozilla. Like, there's a legacy there that makes me take notice. So at the very least, I'm going to try this thing out. And
you can control whether ads show up at all in the browser. They're not forcing their own ads on you, but it is a really interesting play to say, like, hey, you know what? You want to support the website? Allow ads. You want to go with the middle ground. You want to turn them off altogether. And the idea of saying, let's have the browser deliver the ads sounds like a great idea if you're a browser company. Like,
I think this is indicative of a larger movement that we're seeing all across the board. Everybody wants to get rid of ads. We have all these plugins that you're able to get rid of ads as well. But this is obviously, I love the idea of having no ads, but it's a larger picture that we have to really think about because we as consumers are then put in responsibility of keeping those sites alive. If we're going to take away their ability to monetize and stay alive, then we have to take on that responsibility of paying them and supporting them out of our own pocket. And that's a good thing about advertising, is that it doesn't come out of our own pocket. It's annoying, but like, so we have to think as consumers on both sides of the pocket, because do you want to have to pay out? Now, you have Patreon supporters, and so like the mindset of consumers is changing. So we are actually spending more out of our own money to support the people who we love. But if we all of a sudden take away ads from all sites out there, that's a huge potential problem.
And what's one of the interesting things about this is it gives you what's called a bravery menu, where you can decide to stay ad supported on a site, give back to the site, or block all ads altogether. And I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I assume that one of those allows you to be tracked. And the other says, let the ads come, but don't track me, which is probably brave delivering the ads. And then the other one says, don't show me any ads at all. So it allows you to answer that question that Luria is asking, like, do you want to support this site or not? The question is, how active are people going to be in choosing that menu option?
Exactly.
Well, interesting stuff. Are they based in Atlanta? Because that'd be great, wouldn't it, Tom?
The Atlanta Brave software company. Yeah.
Philip Shane wanted us to mention that Facebook will be reporting aggregate data to Nielsen on how many people or how many times people mention TV shows in order to inform Nielsen's new social TV ratings later this year. Twitter TV ratings will be renamed social content ratings. Nielsen intends to incorporate content from Instagram eventually as well. I didn't realize Instagram would be a bastion of what are we watching right now.
Yeah, people take pictures of themselves, reacting to things on TV, and that shows up on Instagram. But obviously, Facebook is the big walled garden, right? Twitter, you can see in public what people are doing. Facebook, you have to get Facebook to hand over this data, and it's aggregated. They're not going to hand over your name, but it does mean that Facebook is watching what you post, even to just your friends, and aggregating that and handing it over to Nielsen.
There's probably something in the numbers that were created by Daisy Ridley watching the trailer for Star Wars and
freaking
out and everything. And that was an Instagram video. I don't know with that comment data or hashtags or things that come from those comments, but that must be valuable data to somebody.
Basically, what Nielsen wants to do is show activities to say, like, people are talking about your show this much on Instagram, this much on Twitter, this much on Facebook. And I don't know what that means. I don't think TV networks know what it means, other than just saying, oh, well, that's a lot of buzz. That's good. We don't really have any evidence that it ties directly into ratings, though.
Mm-hmm.
The Economic Times reports Apple India has filed an application with the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion to open Apple-branded stores in India. Last November, India loosened rules on foreign direct investment in a single-brand retail. Previously, the rules required 30% of products sold to be sourced from within India. Apple doesn't manufacture anything in India, so, at least as far as I know. So they had to wait for this rule relaxation to open their own stores, and this will change the landscape quite a bit. Right now, Apple franchises out people to sell their items to comply with the law, but you can get a full-on Apple retail experience now.
Wow! So actual stores in New Delhi and
Bangalore
city centers. That could be very interesting. If they've laxed those 30% product rules, I wonder if it's just a different percentage now. They have to.
Yeah, they lowered it down. So a lower percentage, I'm sure Apple could deal with because they sell accessories and cases and things like that, and that could make it up. But they're not going to sell, phones manufactured in India by a competitor. That's just never going to happen.
Yeah, and there's argument to be made that a lot of the manufacturing that is currently being done in China and Shenzhen, specifically southern China, could be moved to India and established there at economical rates and. All sorts of reasons why India could be a place where more manufacturing is used, but
that's it's the opposite. The reason Apple is opening their stores is because they didn't want to move their manufacturing there, and they had to wait for this rule to change.
Plus, that takes forever, even if it does happen. So we'll see how it goes. The Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, speaking of India, or the TRAI. Can I call it TRAI? Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's call it TRAI.
I'm TRAI. Hey, TRAI. sent a letter to Facebook Monday. That's Facebook on Monday, criticizing the company and their campaign to get users to support the Free Basics in India program. Free Basics exempts certain websites and apps from data plans. Trey said that Facebook's attempted letter had the flavor of, quote, a crudely majoritarian and orchestrated opinion poll, and noted the following. You have not been authorized by your users to speak on behalf of them collectively, unquote. Some harsh words.
So Trey's not having it.
No.
Is what this means.
Trey's not into it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have been following this, but in India there's a big net neutrality fight, and one of the big controversies is Facebook doing zero rating, which is very popular in Africa, where people say, oh, you know, on my little phone, I can get Facebook and Wikipedia and some BBC News, and it doesn't count against my data plan. That's awesome. Sign me up. In India, they look at it and say, you're picking winners, Facebook. You're violating net neutrality by letting certain people not count against your data cap to the disadvantage of other competitors.
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean, Facebook hasn't said anything back.
Well, what Facebook's been doing is creating a template for its users to send a note saying, we support Free Basics in India to Trey. And Trey has said, your template doesn't make it clear that you're asking to speak on their behalf. And it is also kind of tricking people into sending it in some cases where they might not have wanted to send it. So that's what this is about.
Yeah, that's what templates are by their nature intended to have you fill in the blanks, but overall the message is somebody else's technically. So yeah.
Finally, Greg N. wanted us to note that researchers from Perception Point published a blog post Tuesday describing a vulnerability in Linux kernel version 3.8's OS keyring that can escalate a local user to root privileges. So that's not a good thing. Oversimplified, a leak happens when a process tries to replace its current session keyring with the very same one, and then the attacker can do a memory overflow, free the keyring object, and escalate the privileges. The bug affects PCs, servers, and an estimated 66% of Android devices. Some have some mitigating software that stops this from happening. Researchers privately reported the bug to Linux kernel maintainers, and fixes are on the way. So keep your patches up to date, folks, whether you're using a Linux server or an Android device.
Right on. Security by security.
Yeah. Well, and it goes to show nobody is exempt from these vulnerabilities these days. And this is a good thing. If you go to the Perception Point post, all the comments are like, great work, nice job, thanks for keeping Linux secure. You know, our tendency is want to look at these vulnerabilities and say, oh my God, how awful that OS allowed that vulnerability. But what we're actually seeing is somebody going, ooh, here's a vulnerability nobody had noticed before, and we found it, so we can stop it.
Well, the vulnerabilities are going to be there whether we like that or not in all of these ecosystems. We do need to get away from this kind of knee-jerk reaction. I will admit to being somebody who used to do this a lot, but seeing these headlines makes you go, I'm switching. I'm moving over to something that's, Microsoft makes, because I can't be insecure over here. And what we're actually seeing is a self-policing that works. And
you're seeing the sausage being made, and that's part of the open universe.
Fine with that.
Thanks for folks submitting stories and voting on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Helps us put the lineup together every day. We couldn't do it without you. And that is a look at the headlines. Whew, a lot of headlines. So more people signed up for MOOCs in 2015 than from 2011 to 2014 combined. Those are massively open online courses. So if you heard that MOOCs were dead, they did take a dip, but they are going strong in 2015. 35 million people signed up in 2015. That's up from 17 million in 2014, according to Class Central. There's a UK company called Future Learn that's run by the Open University, grew from 800,000 to 3 million. People taking business management courses in large numbers, social science courses, and of course computer science, English, Spanish, French courses. Beginning to see people charge for certificates. Credentialing is on the rise. We've seen nano degrees being offered. Udacity is promising a refund if you don't get a job within 6 months after taking certain of their courses. India is a ripe market for this. And in the midst of this rise in online education, Luria very wisely said, hey, I could teach people some things, and is launching Geeks University. So tell us a little bit about, why you wanted to do this in the first place.
Yeah, so I've been doing this stuff for 10 years, and I realized over the last year I became aware of this whole digital education market and the ability to. I mean, I always kind of knew it was there, but I became fully aware of it last year, where you can literally learn anything that you want to learn. You can improve yourself, you can improve your business, you can improve your podcast, you can improve whatever you want to. You can learn how to do how to get a skill and go get a job, and you can do this for very you do it inexpensively. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to spend 4 years and then go get a job and then spend the rest of your life getting out of debt and struggling. And it was an aha moment, to be honest. If from a business perspective for us, we've spent 10 years relying on advertising, and you faced it last year or a couple of years ago. A lot of us podcasters have faced it, the transition that's happening within the advertising world, for podcasters and people like us who are doing online videos. I became aware that I needed to make some changes on the business side of things, and then I was looking at all this digital education. I was like, you know what? This is brilliant, because one, it can stabilize business. It can have, I can create something that's based on something that I know that people have asked me constantly. That's the number one question I get on a regular basis is, how do I do what you do? And so when I realized that that was just something that people have been asking me for 10 years and asking me literally to do, I said, okay, well, I can do that. I can help them. I can help me. I can it could be a one big happy family, wins. Right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of the impetus for me launching Geeks University. And so here within the team, we have such a huge amount of experience and knowledge. And so we spent the last 4 months, 5 months, looking at everything that we know and figuring out how do you piece it together? How do you put together all of this information so that it's easily learned, so that it's duplicatable, so that people can take action on it? And we came up with a course that will teach people how to create engaging and effective videos online that will help them increase their followers on YouTube, help them gain a loyal audience, and ultimately build their brand online. And so it was a push for me, as I've been doing news for 10 years. It was a push for me to say, what do I actually know, and turn that into something that I can help others do the same.
So do you think there's just a need for a paradigm shift? Because you said something earlier that really struck me, and that is that you don't necessarily have to. Let's say you've been doing a job for a long time. Let's say you've been 10 years at a career, and you decide, you know what, things are shifting, changing, I want to change, or whatever. There's always this overwhelming feeling, well, if I want to do this, I've got to go to the community college, or I got to get another thing going at the university, I got to spend all this money. It's the only way I'm going to get really good courses on the thing I need to study, whether it be business or technology or whatever. And what you're saying is the paradigm just needs to flip so that we quit looking at it that way, that maybe it's taken us a little while, but the internet has got this great way to give yourself further education down the road that is maybe happening right under our nose, and we didn't even know it was there. Is it just a paradigm shift for a lot of people?
I think it is, and so I think, a lot of people, let's just talk Americans, because I can't speak for the rest of the world, but Americans are so unhappy in their jobs, generally speaking. But what if you could figure out what your passion is, figure out what you want to know, and you go online, you find somebody teaching that, and you just developed that piece, and then you develop another piece, and then you develop another piece, but you do it for a price that you can afford, and you do it over the time period that your life allows, and you make the changes within yourself, you make the changes within your life. This paradigm switch, it really gives you a lot more power rather than having to fit into the education system as it has existed for so very long.
I could see cooking being a really good example of this. Somebody who's like, I can't afford to go to a chef's school, but I really like to cook, and I'd like to start a food truck. That's something that's, economically feasible, but I need to sharpen my skills and my knives. So how do I do both of those things? And maybe some online courses are the thing that gets them going. But how does someone make sure they're getting good teachers, good quality information, that they're getting something that's really going to be worth the time, if not the money? Some are free and some aren't.
Yeah, there are a few different ways. So you said, you could go searching out this stuff. How-to searches on YouTube are up 70% year over year in 2015. So that tells you that everybody is looking for this content, right? And it's available to you. The one thing I would caution you about is when you're looking for somebody that's actually going to be effective to learn from is the one-offs. So like, for instance, YouTube is a very good way to get free information or to get the information that would help you increase your skill set, but it's also very broken up. So you'll never know all the pieces that you should be searching for. So I would look for kind of a put together course or workshop or something that has been thought through, so that that the people who you're learning from have really put some effort into what you're about to spend time and effort to learn, because otherwise you're just learning, like, you're really segmenting up your learning, and it could take you a lot longer. Whereas if you look for somebody who's put that effort into combining the information, then that'll help you. But also trust your instincts. There's often a lot of people who are offering kind of some free content or a course preview or something like that will allow you to get a gut instinct. So watch the preview and watch the free mini courses or something like that, and then you'll be able to understand, okay, well, yes, this is actually benefiting me. So if that free content is benefiting me, I will actually be able to learn a lot more if I put some more time and effort and maybe, get a course from that person. So there's a lot of different places, a lot of different marketplaces that you can go to get that information.
It seems like curation is a key here, because one of the problems you can have if you're just out searching something on YouTube, like the other day, I'm looking for a very specific thing dealing with Premiere Pro CC 2015 edition, meaning the latest, greatest version of Adobe's subscripted version of Adobe Premiere. And I went and I saw a video preview on YouTube, what looked exactly like what I needed. The headline matched my search results. I'm like, this guy knows exactly what I need. I click on it, and I get like the worst audio quality.
Oh, no.
A crummy video. Like, it's kind of shoot and miss. Then you might accidentally run into another one there that's maybe a little less flashy on the front end, but turns out to be very informational, easy to understand. So it's such a, I don't know, like a shot in the dark sometimes, specifically when you're looking for very sort of pinpoint issues, like I want to learn this very specific thing quickly and easily, whether it's a quick tutorial or a long-term skill.
Right.
Can there be better creation or curation out there? And maybe that's what you guys are all about, but figuring out ways to say, here's where to find the good stuff so that we can spend less time banging our heads against,
right.
mediocre
stuff. And that's what I was talking about earlier is the fact that if you see that somebody has put a lot of effort into curating that content and that structure so that you can learn it easily, then you'll know better. Unfortunately, like if you had no knowledge of anything that was out there online, it's still going to be a little bit of a difficult process. But there are marketplaces that you can go to, like Geeks University. We're building out over time. It'll be a marketplace in and of itself for getting all of that information. Right now we're just starting with a single course, but then there's Udemy. There's what was the other one called? Udacity for like for development kind of
there's Coursera.
Structure. Coursera. Yeah, so there are
It's
these
huge. Yeah.
specific marketplaces. And in and of itself, like Udemy, for example, is a great place for anybody because you can go in and you can kind of create your own content, but it's not curated in and of itself. So the people at Udemy aren't going in and saying, well, this is good, this isn't good. It is an open marketplace. So there's still a little bit of it being on you as an
Little
individual
caveat
to
emptor.
figure it out.
But you can look at reviews, right, from previous
Oh, yeah.
people who've taken it, so that helps a little
Absolutely. And you can, you can ask your friends and family, hey, have you heard of anybody good doing this particular thing? Do you know anybody teaching a course on cooking that I could learn from? Always asking the people in your social networks is a good place to start too.
Now, finally, before we wrap up, if someone wanted to start sharing their expertise, is a marketplace like that a good place to start? To just say like, hey, I'm going to jump in and try this, or should they take a course on giving a course? do you have any words of wisdom for them?
Yeah, so I would say at a basic level, start with maybe doing a YouTube video or two. Test the market, see what, test yourself and test the market. Kind of, you can actually do some free content that goes out there, see what people are actually interested in, and then from there you could go to a marketplace like Udemy or I always screw up their name, the development one, Udacity, or any of the other marketplaces that are more targeted towards your skill set, and then you can put that out there. There are definitely people who teach how to create courses, and so if you are interested in learning that, you can kind of search that out and take those courses as well. That's going to take a lot more effort, so I would start with kind of the more basic things if you're not sure that that's something that you want to do. But if you are, I'm the kind of person, I just dive in. Like, I decide I want to do something and I'm all in 100%. So I'm the kind of person who took the course learning, or the courses on how to build a course. But we all work differently, right? So those are your options.
Very cool. Well, yes, and lots of people in the chat room, and I'm sure listening, are shouting lynda.com too, because they're a big sponsor over at Twit, and they're great, and they get rave reviews as well.
And they have a ton of great information as well. And all of the different marketplaces, it's a figuring out how do you put it all together. Like, you can buy a membership at a marketplace, and you can just dive and swerve and go wherever your heart desires, or you can look for something that is curated, as you were talking about, Scott, as a whole. So you also have to pay attention to how you learn, because that's going to dictate how you go about it.
Well, if you want to sample Geeks University, they were nice enough to give us our own code here, geeksuniversity.com/DTNS. Click on that and head on over and check it out. Our pick of the day is from Kome, who thought we'd be interested in the Freakonomics episode, How to Be Less Terrible at Predicting the Future. And for our predictions results show, I'm definitely interested in that, Kome. They talked about many interesting topics such as vague verbiage, how an ambiguous statement like fair chance of success by the chiefs of staff almost affected JFK's decision to invade Cuba when fair chance actually meant only 1 in 3. Super forecasters, how ordinary outsider people with the right attitude can outperform full-time professionals. Whole episode is worth listening to, says Kome. So you can check that out at freakonomics.com. We'll have the link in the show notes as well. Send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. We got more picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Magnus in freezing cold Oslo, Norway. We hope you keep warm in Norway. There, Magnus said, I watched an interesting news story on Norwegian television 2 days ago where a local fire department was talking about how important drones can be when putting out fires. This particular news story was triggered by a fire close to a few storage containers filled with explosives. 35 metric tons of high explosives, 38.5 short ton for you US guys. The local fire brigade launched a drone to get a good overview of the situation, monitor the fire while evacuating everyone within a radius of 1 kilometer. They managed to monitor the fire and the radiant heat until it burned out by itself and they could safely enter and secure the area. So I just love that because it's an example. We always hear the example of like that drone user who stopped the firefighters in Southern California. Here's an example of like, hey, they needed the drone. So it's not the drone that's the problem. It's usually the human.
Yeah, plus, I don't know. This is like anything in the news. Like shark attacks are up. Nope, they're down. Whatever. Like everyone focuses on the negative stuff. There are so many cool applications of drones. I'm really glad to see coverage like this.
We got Paul, a former aerospace engineer, taking a little bit of an issue with our pilots' skepticism about autonomous cars. He says cars and aircraft have a different factor of safety when designing them because aircraft typically have a factor of safety of 1.5, where cars are around 4. This means you figure out how much stress a component should take and multiply it by that fudge factor. So it's not just a public perception that makes aircraft systems more stringent, but the fact that they can take less error. So if you're comparing autonomous aircraft to autonomous cars, I'd say it shows autonomous cars are just around the corner. But he's an aerospace engineer. So I don't know. We'll let the pilots and the aerospace engineers figure it out. But we got a couple of different. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I don't think they're right around the corner. And I think Paul, the pilot's argument about perception was pretty strong. It has less to do with the actual facts and more about whether people are comfortable with it.
Yeah. Look, your rationality is spreading. I think I agree with you.
Oh, no.
Danger zone.
And then Brian, who's an assistant professor of finance at Benedictine College, looked at the year-end financials for Netflix after listening to Tuesday's show. And we had speculated, well, if their earnings were up, but their revenue was down, does that just mean they are spending less money, making more profit? And Brian said costs in general are historically in line, and the main bump in earnings per share seems to be from tax benefits rather than operations. So I don't think it's something to get too excited about for Netflix in general. Only 3.3% of revenues is left after their cost of revenues, marketing, technology, and administrative costs. So I just love that Brian, who knows this stuff, took the time to analyze that for us and send the results. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Scott Johnson. As always, of course, frogpants.com is the place to go to find more Scott Johnson. There's more all the time. What do you want to tell folks about today?
There's always many more things. So I've been talking on and off on the show about how I was able to kickstart and get off the ground the 15-year compilation of the comic strips I've been drawing since 2001. Those are out to Kickstarters in softcover format and have been delivered. So we took some extras as well as some upcoming scratch and dent that we're going to be putting on the store. So if you wanted that thing, you couldn't support it back in the Kickstarter days, then now's your chance. Just go to frogpants.com/store. And for everything else I'm doing, just follow me on Twitter @ScottJohnson. It's great to be here as always.
And Luria, as always, an absolute pleasure. Geeksuniversity.com. In fact, geeksuniversity.com/DTNS.
Exactly.
To
Don't
check
forget
out.
that.
Yeah. Check out what's happening over there.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Scott and I have never actually been in the same quote-unquote room together before, so this was awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad I brought you two together for once, finally.
No, it worked. That worked out really well, and I hope it's not the last. But I'm really excited about these new projects you got going. So best of luck on all of it.
Thank you so much.
DailyTechNewsShow.com/support for all the ways to keep this show up and running. I did a behind the scenes of how I prepare for the show on Snapchat yesterday. That video is now up on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/DailyTechNewsShow, or you can also find it in the treasure chest if you're a Patreon who supports us at that level. And if you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/DTNS. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-59-DAILY. It's 512-593-2459. Catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Wow, that was long. I'm sorry it went so long, Luria. I hope we didn't run over time for you.
You're fine. No, I probably made it run long. I'm sorry.
No, it's not you. Definitely not you.
I talk too much.
No, this was good stuff, though. I liked it.
Good, good. That your music is awesome. It makes me just like want to get up and dance, but I had to restrain myself.
Oh, don't. Not on my account anyway. Just
Put that
because I'm
in
the
the
fuddy
Put that in
duddy.
the Patreon safe box or whatever the heck it is. That people would love to see her dancing on your show.
Hey,
Uh,
I think I just want to go right. I know that we usually like look at the show bot and figure out all the titles, but there was one that just caught my eye right now. I want to see if you guys like it, and I may just make an executive decision. Where is it? Geeks helping geeks teach geeks.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I like it.
I support your executive decision.
But it's not an executive decision unless you just go with it and don't ask for any, isn't it? Or is it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, no.
It's a co-executive decision of the triumvirate here.
There you go.
Congressional approval of all show titles.
Yeah.
You have that kind of power, Tom.
Thanks, BioCow and Rami and Shane and Gooses and stuff, all of you. And Preface for Radio. Saw some comments from you guys, so thank you.
Perfect face for radio is what that's short for.
Oh,
That
sorry.
helps.
I was reading. I don't know. I have Harry Potter on my mind. I was like, prefect?
He's the prefect of the chat room. Yes.
Sorry. I should never do that. I always screw it up. Call out people's names.
Oh man. Well, Ayaz Akhtar for years I called Eoz
Yeah. For
before
years.
I got to know him. Well, yeah, because he was in the Buzz Out Loud chat room, and I'd
Right.
be like, you know,
You'd reference him as EOS. I remember that.
yeah. And Scott from
Eoz.
SLC.
Yeah, exactly. And Scott from SLC doesn't have a last name.
I don't know. Some guy's got a decent voice, but
He's all right.
I like his calls.
Oh, and I wasn't sure when this actually launched. So anybody watching in the chat room, we actually have a webinar tomorrow.
Oh,
So
cool.
when do you actually or release this one?
Oh, it's going up within
Right
10
now?
minutes. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
you
levelating
work
it
fast.
right now.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have a webinar tomorrow. If anyone wants to get some free information,
Cool.
it's at geeksuniversity.com/webinar. So
Yeah, with the news show, I try to just get it out as fast as possible.
yeah, no, that makes sense.
So yeah, and I hang around and we keep streaming while I edit and post. But if you need to go. Don't.
Okay.
Go-
Well,
go
I'll
whenever.
just. I probably do need to get going, but at Squad in the chat room, I am Callie Lewis. I don't just look like her. If that was a real comment.
That should be your next move. It's pretend
Yeah.
like you've never heard of Callie. Oh, that's weird. So I look like her? Well, that's odd.
I'm going by my real name now.
That's
I've never heard of her. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought about doing that. Like if somebody is like, "Oh, I saw you. I think I saw you at the grocery store," and I know it was like in my worst shape ever, like hair
That
all.
was Callie Lewis.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, that was my twin. That wasn't me.
that's amazing.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. Well, I guess I better go do some more prep.
All
for
right.
this
Yeah,
week.
congratulations on the launching. That's awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You
And-
bet. Come back soon.
Okay. You too over here.
All right.
So our studio is like it looks like a tornado went through here right now.
Sure.
But as soon as we get set up, we're gonna get set up for like bringing in Hangouts and Skype and all of that good stuff. So
Awesome. Well, it looks great right now.
thank you.
It looks
This
really
part
good.
does.
Your line is great.
That part doesn't. All right. I'll see you guys later.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, alrighty then.
And then
Titles?
there were 3. Oh, no, we picked it. Geeks helping geeks teach geeks.
Sorry, there was a slight scream in my ears. I wasn't sure.
That's all right.
Slight screen.
Just a slight screaming.
Yep.
Oh, Ellie.
Oh.
She didn't like the title. I'm sorry.
Can't wait. She can.
Can't wait till she could talk.
Wait till she can talk and feed herself.
Yeah, Eileen says the same thing about me.
Oh, she laughed.
I'm gonna get to see Hakito tonight.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah, he's in LA. I forgot. He didn't play Heroes with us last night, and that's usually why he's in LA.
Ah,
again.
okay. Yep.
Doing a shoot or something.
He was last week. He's like, "You and Eileen want to get dinner?" I was like, "Yeah, it'd be great." And then today's like, "Eileen out of town. I guess. Do you still want to get dinner?" Which is probably not the way he wrote it at all, but that's the way I read it. Like,
right.
Like, oh, the fun one's not around, but I guess.
Well, if you want to surprise him with a little comment when you see him, refer to him as Schmerich, Schman, Schmeischmach.
Okay.
He'll know what it is. He'll know what it is.
I'll just, when I see him, I'll go, Schmerich, Schmerich, Schmerich,
Schmerich, it's good to see you. And then, but act like you don't know what you're talking about, and let's see what his reaction is.
What is the story behind that?
Big insider thing. So, like, we play Heroes all the time, and then when we do this core show about Heroes, we talk about our games of the week and things like that. And we there's some funny things in the game. So instead of calling him out, we called him Schmerich.
Okay, so you tried to pretend to hide his name.
Yeah, and he's it's become a bit of a meme there, so he'll enjoy the reference.
So what I should do is be like, have you heard of this asshole named Schmerich Schman Schmeiach?
Totally do that, dude.
I mean, I hear he's just awful to play with.
He's bad. But man, I hear it's making the game toxic. Nobody wants to.
I mean,
go
it's
near
one of
that
the reasons
thing.
I don't play Heroes is I don't want to be a Schmerich Schmeiach.
Oh my gosh!
Don't be a Schmerich.
Patrick put together. You should see this list Patrick made of the 5 things he wishes he'd known about Heroes that he now loves the game for.
No,
and
I heard him waxing on about that. Yeah.
He's loving it. And it's funny because he was like, I don't know what you guys are seeing in this. And there's these 5 things he says no one told him, and if they had, he would have been in a lot sooner.
I think I read that. Did he post that somewhere?
Yeah, he may have posted it, actually.
Yeah.
If you've seen that, it's very interesting.
No, I've seen
and I
it.
think he's...
One of them was you can play on your own. You can play against the AI.
You don't have to feel bad about playing AI. You don't have to feel like.
But here's the thing: like, I know you can play against the AI and level up, but I feel like I'm not doing it right. Like, I feel like, oh well, that's not Heroes.
His other 4 points are really good at explaining. That part of it, like never dying, sounds like that's something you want to try to do in every game.
That was really good. No, that was a really good one. Which is like, no, really, dying is really bad for your team. Like, and that's something I've been horrible the few times I have played Heroes. Like, I died. I'll just run back. And like, okay.
Like a shooter or something where you're just supposed to get right back in the fray, but it's more meaningful to die in that game, and therefore you start playing in ways that are
you play a little more conservatively.
Like if you see the whole team getting demolished, you should get the crap out of there, not stay and go down with the ship.
And try. Yeah, no, and I've played the opposite of like, oh, I should just like rush in and try to do some damage, I
think most people do. I don't think you're alone. That's I think part of the problem. It's one of the barriers to the game for sure. But once all that stuff hits, and it does click eventually, and you go, oh, okay, now I love this, and then you're into it.
My problem is I don't have enough time.
Yeah, well, and that's a whole nother bag of chips for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the time I have for gaming is even sometimes like Hearthstone is okay, but even Hearthstone I don't have. Like, I can pop into something for 5 minutes, then I'm good.
Yeah,
and Hearthstone even sometimes is longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah, when you're screwed is when a new civilization comes out, and then you're screwed.
I'm playing SimCity Build It right now, of all things.
That game's all right.
I know I'm way late to that party, but.
Okay.
But it's definitely the thing where I can go in and like boop 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 boop, build my city.
Get in quick, do your stuff, get out. Yeah.
Play entirely for free. And SimCity and Civ are like my heritage games. Those are the games in the 90s that I played all the time.
Yeah, they're your jam for sure.
I remember like I've told the story before. It's not that great of a story either, but just playing SimCity 2000 for an entire day on my day off. And then going over at 2 a.m. to pick up my girlfriend from work. She worked at a bar. And I walked in and she's like, what's wrong? What happened? I'm like, I don't know what you mean. She's like, you just look so like, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, I've been playing SimCity 2000 all day.
That's hardcore, man.
Yeah.
You were officially a hardcore gamer because of that.
I was a hardcore sim gamer.
Yeah. I mean, those were influential things. Then they're like, I don't know, they're like brain candy for you, for your personality type.
Yeah, that must be it.
It's a good thing, I'm glad they exist for you. Somebody needs to. Well, actually, a lot of people do. Millions do, but still.
I've been noticing some friends that probably don't play anymore, but I've been going to their cities because they built them and they're in my Game Center list. I'm like, oh, look at that. Of course, Ralph is one of them because he plays everything that's
Ralph's
ever been
in all
created.
games all the time.
Yeah.
There's a guy that can play a video game.
If there's a video game, he's played it.
He's playing it right now.
If there's a video game, he's in there and will say hello as soon as you log in. Because he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's super nice. And he'll help you. He'll level you, teach you. He's all those things.
The only complaint I ever had about playing with Ralph in Warcraft was like, or no, not Warcraft, Diablo, was like, no, you're leveling me too fast. I'm not savoring it.
Yeah, no, I don't. That's why this. So there's this new season of Diablo, and I'm playing it, but I've decided not to let Ralph and people run me through dungeons to power level me because I want to enjoy it.
But I mean, he's really good at it. Is the thing. Like, if you want a power level, he's the guy.
Tempting. It's very tempting, but it's like skipping college and pretending you have a degree. So I just want to slowly, I just want to take it at my own pace, and it's actually really enjoyable this way. So he's not happy with me in that decision.
Of course not.
But he'll be fine. He'll live.
Will he?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know, Scott.
We all die, Tom.
We're all dying.
I don't want to break it to you, but we're all dying. Some of us faster than others.
We're all dying from the day we're born.
On that morbid note.
Man, Ian in the chat room just said, I spent all of summer break 1998 playing Civ 2. I think I might have also.
That was a big year just generally.
Yeah.
Like that was a huge year.
Russ Pitts and I used to just play Civilization 2 all the time.
Wow.
We'd even dial each other a few times and play it against each other over
those kinds of games are really good on the iPad Pro, I've learned.
Yeah. Civ Revolutions is great on the iPad Pro.
Yeah, it's real good on there. In fact, I should play more of that.
I've played that game on the iPad Pro over this holiday break. I played it to the limit of its usefulness. Like I found the edges of that game where it's like, oh, it's not the full game because I can't do this.
Well, that's good though. I've been really happy with mine. I like it a lot. I'm drawing it on it almost daily. Using it as a notebook more than I think I told you that. I use it as a notebook a lot more.
Yeah. I've been doing some writing like I did on Thanksgiving break particularly when we were driving. It was great in the car. Like the keyboard was good enough, and it fit in my lap really nicely. And I've used it here and there, like out and about. Like, I'll just take this and write on it instead. So yeah, I think keyboard makes it essential for me. Yeah, it's
you have to have that, or else it's difficult to justify the cost of that thing.
Now the Nexus 5X has the brilliance of the fingerprint sensor on the back, which I did not realize how fantastic.
I saw that on Twitter, so now you don't know how you're going to live without that.
You just pick it up and it unlocks. There's none of this, oh, right, I got to put my finger on my thumb. I guess I put my thumb there. Like, it sounds stupid, but, like, it's perfectly positioned. The only thing it shouldn't be so close to the lens because sometimes I touch the lens instead of the fingerprint sensor, but it's just so natural to be like, boom, unlock.
It's pretty quick. It's pretty snappy.
Yeah, once you've actually put your finger on it, it's super fast.
All right.
My complaint with the phone is that the battery life is pretty low. At least with my usage profile, it is.
4.7 inch. How big is it? Like
no, it's 5.
5. I guess
maybe it is 4.7. How big's the iPhone 6?
The 6 is 4.7. The 6.
Yeah, so the 5X is 5 something.
Okay. All right, that's cool.
Because it's bigger. I'm looking at it. It's bigger than the 6.
Testing all this stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this was Eileen got this as the holiday present from her place of work.
Oh, really?
And then she's like, "Do you want to try it?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Well, yeah, why not? Of course. Your text came through a little weird, but other than that, I'm fine.
Yeah, Veronica was like, "It's so weird to see green texts from you." Ugh.
Yuck.
I'm over dramatizing how she said it, obviously, but
that was a pretty good impression. It wasn't too bad. All right. Well, have the funnest of possible afternoons.
Yes, I am publishing now. Let's say goodbye to the video folks.
Goodbye, video
folks.
Bye, Roger and baby.